I'd like to call the meeting to order. Southwest Vermont Supervisory Union Board of Directors. It's 7:01 p.m., October 23rd. I'd like to go over the agenda. Item 1 is public comments. Item 2 is finance issues, treasurer's report, and the donation. 3 is consent agenda. 4, there are no policy. Committee reports on the food service advisory, superintendent's report, chair's report, and some information enclosed in your packets. And I would like to amend the agenda to add 2 items. One goes under the consent agenda as a proposal for a special education paraprofessional. We can elaborate on that. And the second issue is we'd like to ask for an executive session under 1 VSA section 313 number 3, the appointment or employment of or evaluation of a public officer or employee. And we'd like to put the executive session at the end of the regular meeting. Does that meet the approval of the board?
Yes. Do you need a motion or anything, or not?
To amend the agenda?
To amend the agenda, if you would.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Second. We have a motion, a second. All those, any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And I see no abstentions. All right. Public comments. Just shaking your head. We're not going, okay. Finance and related. This is the treasurer's report. We need a motion to accept that.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the treasurer's report? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No abstentions? Item B, donations to the Mosaic program from Alan Carrios, Memorial Contributions.
Asking that you accept that?
We need a motion.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion?
What is it? What is it?
It was someone's memorial fund that had passed who was donating it to the program.
Does anyone need any further information on that? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I see no abstentions. Motion carries. Consent agenda, which
I'll move it.
includes...
Second.
All right. We have amended the consent agenda to include the proposal for a special education paraprofessional. We have a motion and a second. Discussion. Is that something you can address, Kate?
She can address one of the positions, yeah?
Mine was the other one.
Yours was the other one.
Yeah, she's adding, her position that was in the packet, the early education program proposal. Do you want to address that one while you're here?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So,
Probably the mic, Kate.
this one here?
We don't have
Yeah.
one. Good.
So the position is to increase early childhood special education teacher. Last year, when we had looked at the numbers of children coming in from early intervention, we expected a very high number of 103 learners by the end of the school year. That was actually, even though it was our highest estimate ever, it's looking a little bit low, and we should have about 116 by the end of this school year. So we have seen a number of additional learners come into early childhood special education from the early intervention system. And so we are requesting an additional, it's actually only a 0.053 FTE of one of our part-time individuals to increase to meet the needs at this time.
And on the special education, well, before, do you have any questions of Kate before I move on to special education?
No.
Thank you, Kate. There's 3 proposals for special ed before the boards tonight. One is a monument paraprofessional that was added tonight, just supporting an increased need for special education in that building following the identification of several new students at the end of last year before the, after the budget process was finished. a intensive need position for V19, which is a program at Mount Anthony Union High School. There's approximately 27 students in that program with 3 teachers right now. The ratio is just, can't be sustained, so that's why we're asking for that position. An ideal special needs position, this position is in support of a one-on-one student. This is a student that is coming to the high school that's IEP is requiring a one-on-one intensive needs para position. The funding for all 3 of these positions are made possible through the shifting of personnel positions into our Ideal B grant. Our associate directors are now paid out of that grant, so that the budget money that was earmarked for them is now able to support these positions. So at this time, it's revenue neutral as far as the budget goes, but all 3 are necessary.
Any other questions on that issue? Leon?
Not on that issue, but this, under the consent agenda, you have it's on field trip for Home Point Elementary, Springfield, Mass. Is that, should be on this?
Because On Point is an SVSU program.
That's why. Okay.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, I'm saying, oh, we got field trips
Yeah.
coming from here
Yeah.
as opposed to the
Yeah.
individual district.
Right, yeah, it's a
Okay.
special education field trip program, field trip, so that'd be covered under the SU.
Okay.
Any other questions on the proposals? I would like to correct the record, I guess. The last minutes, September 25th, is a little, sounds strange anyway. Board members absent, Dick France, Chair, SVU ESD, Chair. I'm not the chair of the SVU ESD, which is kind of the way that reads. Chris Murphy is, so if that could be corrected. Are there other questions about the consent agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? I see no abstentions. Motion passes. Consent agenda passes. No policies. Committee reports, food service advisory.
There is no report available. The electronic menu software that the Abbey Group maintains, they're having a problem with their vendor. So the report I got this afternoon, that it was not working for the electronic menu, so the Abbey Group would like to reschedule for a future meeting. The electronic menu was unavailable this afternoon.
Thank you. Brings us to superintendent's report.
A couple of things. Most of what I want to talk to you about is what I asked you to add the executive session for, so thank you. But a few things I do want to talk to you. One thing that the assistant superintendent, the director of curriculum and instruction, and I have been working on is targeted walkthroughs. It's a very, we've also done some with Kate, but so far we have done Woodford and Pownell, and by the end of November we will do a targeted walkthrough through all of the schools in the district, which is different than when I visit for any other reason. We actually have a path that we follow through the building where with a staff member. The focus of the targeted walkthroughs this year is literacy. Last year when we did targeted walkthroughs, it was more on social emotional issues and like PBIS and how's the climate and culture of the school. So with all the work that the district has been doing, adding Reading Street and programs such as that to our elementary schools, it was enlightening for me to do those 2 targeted walkthroughs with a focus on really educational issues, which in my role I don't always get to do. I tend to be more building for personnel issues or parent issues or the needs of special education to get more staffed up. So I've been enjoying the targeted walkthroughs, look forward to seeing all the schools, and our emphasis on literacy last year, this year, and continuing is just so critical to everything that we do. I don't see how we can educate children who cannot read at grade level, and that is a challenge in some of our schools. So, and yesterday I participated at Mount Anthony Union High School. It was their first ever freshman career day, which they do like a sophomore summit. You might have heard of that before. But yesterday was freshman, and it was put together in conjunction with Vermont Department of Labor and the counselors at the school. And I was privileged to be a facilitator, which means I really was a human alarm clock to make sure that the presenters moved every 7 minutes to one of the 12 tables that a group of freshman students were sitting at. So there was a group of students in the cafeteria and a group of students in the gymnasium, and it was different. The presenters moved around to the students, which, because trying to move 270 freshmen every 7 minutes just it wouldn't work. So I'm sure they'll tweak it a little. It seemed a little bit long towards the end. Acoustics were a little tough, but adjustments were made, like to have the presenter sitting at the end of the table. After the first round, we learned the presenter needs to sit in the middle of the table, so all the students around the table, and there were 4 focus areas, continuing college education, career readiness, service organizations, just to start them as young as possible, to let them know as they start to plot their high school career and college career what opportunities may be there. So kudos to Mount Anthony for putting that together, and thank you for inviting me to participate. We also had to do an enhanced 911 test throughout all our buildings, and we had to submit a report to the state 911 board by the 10th of October. And I have to tell you that we needed to ask for a waiver for some of the schools because the testing wasn't able to be completed in every school. But it was a fruitful enterprise because it's showing us where we need to talk to our vendors for where some calls, the number was not coming up identified. When we received a call time from the state board at times that the schools were supposed to call in to a number, then they could read to see if the number was reading for that number. So it was a statewide test. It's one of those requirements that we have to comply with, but there's no penalty if you don't. It's just not prudent to not be in compliance with it. We certainly want emergency responders to know where the call's coming from, but through this practice we have been able to identify, and I can give you a couple of the middle school and did not really have all list of phone numbers and location reason has been submitted to their phone service provider for an upload to the database. So by and large was in pretty good shape here. Shasbury is going to need some enhancements to comply to their phone system, but that's not something that the facilities committee is aware of. The majority from central office, which has an updated phone system, was not a problem. Molly Stark still needs to be rescheduled. Bennington Elementary was done, but there's going to need to be some enhancements to their phone system. We're going to wait on some of these enhancements to see if there's going to be some possible funding from the state on this. Hopefully there will be. And we still need to do some testing in Woodford and at the On Point program. They were conducted at the Early Childhood SO program. So we submitted these test results. We asked for a waiver for those that were not able to do.
What about
Pownell was, test calls were conducted, correct street address issues, but there is a unique callback phone number in specific locations that they did reveal the ability to direct dial 911. They did submit a request to the vendor to verify how the system is handling calls. It is also on the list for a phone system that will most likely need enhancements to achieve complete compliance, so, which is pretty much standard in a lot of our elementary schools. We don't have an estimate of what that's going to cost or who would pay for it. It would be our position. If we're going to be mandated to do it, then there should be some funding to help us comply. The other thing I wanted to talk to you is your November and December meeting. This board's November meeting is scheduled to be the evening before Thanksgiving. So we should consider whether we hold that meeting at all or reschedule, and December is also going to bump up against the Christmas holiday. So my suggestion would be to cancel both of those meetings, and we're going to be right into budget season once Renee has that schedule. And so you may find that this board's going to meet at least twice in December for budget issues. So I would suggest that we announce that we are going to cancel the November and December regularly scheduled meetings, and then we will have special meetings for budgets, which you'll be able to sign the warrants at them too.
You need a motion on that? Or we just agree to do it?
I don't know if it needs a,
I can't see that we need a motion,
Motion.
but if you're comfortable with it,
No, I say,
Yeah.
yeah, let's do it.
all right, okay.
That's just my opinion.
Yeah, me
So
too.
we'll just need those dates so that when we get it, so that the public will know that we're meeting to go over finance.
Well, those are all warned, aren't they?
Right, they're
Yeah.
warned. So the 27th of November, you're going to cancel, and the 25th of December, you're going to cancel.
Actually, it
Yeah, I'll be
doesn't
busy.
butt up against
Yeah,
Christmas.
yeah, that one, yeah, 'cause I was,
Yeah.
yeah, that, it is
Yeah.
on Christmas. Hey, I mean, we could have a nice party, I guess, but
Why don't we just have a motion anyway, just to make it official?
Yeah,
okay.
so I'll second that.
okay, Ray made a motion, second from Leon.
Yeah.
Any further discussion?
What was the motion? I'm sorry.
Richard got it, is to cancel
To
the
cancel
two
the two meetings.
regular
Oh,
meetings
yeah.
and meet as a board for
During-
finance meetings.
Finance meetings and deal with our regular business,
Yep.
consent agenda business.
Consent agenda and warrant, which warrant will be part of it, right? Right. Once we schedule the budget meetings for December.
Further discussion? Not, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No abstentions?
And we will be, the negotiating committees will be meeting November 7th. It will be a ground rule meeting. We don't, and set up future meeting dates. We don't anticipate that we'll actually negotiate on that date. We're meeting with both the support staff and teachers on the same day. We're going to try and piggyback meetings so that our attorneys' travel time and everything is then minimal. That's November 7th, and that's it.
Thank you, Jim. As far as the chair's report goes, we began the evaluation process of the superintendent on the 10th of October. The next meeting is scheduled for November 12th, before the SVU ESD meeting at Monument, I think is where our next meeting is. Jim was asked to revise his goals, which he has done, and we have that copy at this meeting, and we can get it out to all you folks tonight, so you have a chance to look at it and have some input, if they're in this folder, Jim.
Yes, they are.
What's the date again, the 12th?
The 12th,
The 12th,
5
o'clock.
to 6.
12th, right, yeah.
Yeah.
5 p.m.
ESD meeting is
It's 6:30.
6:30?
6:30.
We were gonna start at 5 o'clock on Monument.
You got one, I guess.
Yeah.
Were we starting at 5 or 5:30?
Yeah, I had 5 o'clock.
I had 5.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
I think we did that because of you. I said, you need to get out of work or something. You don't.
No, yeah.
We also have warrants here that need signatures.
Yeah, I didn't
You're all set
know.
next
Yeah, I'm all set. to go inside.
I got one copy.
And
So the goals, the goal of the goals is to just review them, everybody, so the next time we meet, and if there's no problem, to just become official, is that what you're saying?
well, we
Pass them on the list.
we begin evaluating him on his success in reaching his goals from last year, and
Okay. Because we've met and we all
Yes.
agreed that this as a committee, and so now the full board is getting a copy of what they are. And I didn't know whether they needed to say anything or not.
I don't know if there's anything else we need to say this time.
Okay.
And that's all I have. I'll make sure that warning
Ray
goes
has a question.
out. Pardon me? Oh, I'm sorry, Ray.
Now that we've moved to, move those meetings, as I recall, BVSU members are supposed to join this board in November, roughly, at least for merger purposes.
On or before, no, not on. On or
Start
after.
the process.
Yeah,
really.
start the process, yeah.
So, given that we had to change it, and there's no question about that, but, given that we'll be going into budget meetings, will they be participating in that, or are they going to have their own budget meetings?
So,
I can,
yeah,
maybe I can address that. Todd Wilkins is the contact for the Arlington chair. Jean Zopel is Sandgate. I have not been able to coordinate anything with her yet, but I'm trying to work with Todd on a date when we can get a lot of things on the table for discussion. It could be budget, it could be meeting dates, it could be how many things we need to work out once we merge. There's a number of issues, I guess, buses and contracts and a variety of other things have to be dealt with, and at least we can make a list between us of things that need to be considered. We don't have a date for that yet, but we've had 2 email conversations, and they're receptive to that, so I would include your thoughts in that, right?
Yeah. What about Sandgate? They're going to be included.
I don't give up easily, and she hasn't returned any email.
Have you spoken to Alan
notification.
Shorn? 'Cause he used to be the chair of that board. I don't know
No.
if he's still on.
The only name I know of that is chair of the board is Jean Zopel.
She's the chair now.
And
But Alan's still on it, or do you know that? You know their members?
I don't know anybody else that's on there, but I also have phone numbers, so I'll dog them until I can make a contact that works and we can get together somehow.
it may be something that we schedule a special meeting,
Yeah.
which we can do when we're all available to discuss, to begin what this all will look like.
I don't think anybody has an idea yet until we start sitting down.
Right, so that probably means that there isn't a combined budget going to be produced.
No, because the merger doesn't actually happen till 21,
next
so it'll
year.
be at this time next year that we will work on a
Right.
merged budget with them.
The FY '21
Yeah.
period. Okay. All right, well then, I probably need to talk to Sandgate myself as a non-operating district, as they are. We have different interests from the operating districts.
Well, your concerns would certainly be part of the discussion, so.
Yeah. But I think we might want to actually talk about them before we get to a meeting, so we have some idea of whether we have some commonalities there to bring to the discussion.
Have it at the top of the list, so
Yeah.
keep working at it.
And it's listed as one of the superintendent's goals too.
That's the only thing I have. We need to, you have some information in your packets about student enrollment and budget status, and we would like a motion to go
So
into
moved.
executive
Second.
session. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
I,
No opposed? And there will
Will
be
there
We will be coming
There'll be
back.
no action when you
no action coming out of executive session. We'll simply come out.
Will we come back